Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Fitri Nabila and I'm from CBIA class. In this video, I'm going to review a webinar that I attended from the British Council Asian Teaching English Online Conference 2025. And the topic of the webinar is about Trauma-Informed English Language Teaching, and the session was delivered by Aung Kyaw Pyo on 21 October 2025. Well, this webinar discusses a very important and relevant topic in today's teaching context, especially because many of our students, whether we realize it or not, may have gone through difficult or traumatic experiences, and as English teachers, we are not psychologists, but we actually play a very meaningful role in supporting students emotionally, socially, and also academically. So, in this review, I will explain 3 important things from the topic. First, why trauma-informed teaching is important. And the second, how trauma affects language learning. And the third, practical strategies that teachers can apply in the classroom. Okay guys, without any further ado, let's check it out. Okay guys, for the first section, we will start with why trauma-informed teaching matters. The webinar begins by highlighting the increasing number of traumatic events happening around the world. These include natural disasters, pandemics, economic crisis, political instability, and also personal experiences such as violence, abuse, loss of loved ones, or family conflict. Those situations have caused many students to face what we call as adverse childhood experiences or ACEs, or potentially traumatic events. The speaker, Aung Kyaw Pyo, asked a simple but powerful question. And the question is, have you ever taught a student who may have experienced violence, neglect, or sudden loss, or even lived in an unsafe environment? And most teachers will probably answer yes, even if they don't know the details of the student's life. And the speaker emphasized that teachers spend more time with students than doctors, relatives, or sometimes even their parents. This means teachers often become the first line of psychosocial support. Even though teachers are not therapists, but as a teacher, we can still provide safe classroom environments, predictable routines, emotional validation, and also opportunities for social connection. The speaker also mentioned that language classrooms are especially powerful because they rely on communication, interaction, and personal expression. When handled sensitively, English lesson can help traumatized students rebuild their confidence, connect with others, and experience emotionally safety. This is why being a trauma-informed teacher is not optional, but it is so essential like that. Next, we move to the second section. It's impacts of trauma on language learning. The webinar explained how trauma influences students' ability to learn. Trauma affects both the brain and also students' behavior who have experienced trauma and may become withdrawn and avoid social interaction, lose motivation to study, and have difficulty concentrating and also struggle to memorize vocabulary or grammar, see new activities as threats, and the last one is feel overwhelmed or easily triggered. The speaker connected this to the concept of the fight or flight response. When students are in this survival mode, their brain is focused on staying safe, not on learning a second language. So this is why teachers sometimes see learners who look distracted, anxious, or uninterested. Instead of labeling them as lazy or unmotivated, the webinar encourages us as teachers to consider that they may be carrying emotional burdens and unresolved trauma, like that. Now, it is the last section about practical strategies for trauma-informed ELT. This was the heart of the webinar. The speaker offered 7 practical techniques that teachers can immediately use in their own classrooms. And I will explain each one clearly and link it to real teaching situations. Okay, we will start with the first technique. It is create a safe space. Okay, according to the speaker, the first and most crucial step is making the classroom as physically and emotionally safe environment. This means students feel accepted, students know they will not be judged, and their identities are respected, and the last is mistakes are seen as part of learning. A safe classroom allows students to express themselves freely without fear. For traumatized students, simply knowing that the teacher is kind, calm, and understanding can already lower their anxiety. Practical ideas include greeting students warmly, setting classroom rules together, allowing them to choose sitting, and listening attentively, acknowledging their feelings, and the last is encouraging supportive peer interactions. The classroom should be a place where students feel I'm safe here and I can be myself. And then the second technique is be predictable. Traumatized learners often perceive sudden changes as threats. So as teachers, we should avoid surprises and maintain a predictable routine. The speaker suggested sharing lesson plans in advance, using consistent class structures, informing students before switching activities, and then using rhythmic routines or chants, especially for younger learners. Predictability helps students feel in control, and it reduces panic and prevents them from feeling overwhelmed. After that, the third technique is integrate mind regulation practices. This was one of the parts I personally found very meaningful. The speaker explained that traumatized students often live in a constant fight or flight state. Their brain is alert, tense, and focused on surviving. When this happens, learning becomes almost impossible. So, to regulate their emotions, teachers can introduce mindfulness practices such as deep breathing, counting slowly from 1 to 10, visualizing a peaceful place, simple stretching like that, and grounding exercise, for example, naming three things they see or hear, and the last is body scan activities. So, those activities can help students return to their bodies, calm their nervous system, and lower their affective filter. The speaker emphasized that if the mind is not regulated, the student cannot socialize and cannot think. This really shows how important emotional regulation is in the learning process. Next, the fourth technique is include movements. Movement is a powerful tool in trauma recovery because the body stores emotional stress. Physical activities can help release tension and create positive energy. The speaker recommended using simple exercise, stretching, dancing, and also total physical response or TPR activities. These are especially effective for young learners, but adults can also benefit from short movement breaks. Movement increases blood flow to the brain and helps students feel more grounded and connected. Next, the fifth technique is avoid re-traumatization. Personalization is important in language teaching, but it can sometimes unintentionally bring up painful memories. For example, like asking students to talk about their family, describing their childhood, telling personal experiences, and also discussing their past events. Those tasks might trigger their trauma, so to avoid this, teachers should give student choices, let them change the topic, and also avoid forcing them to share their personal experiences. Then the last is allow alternative formats like drawing or writing instead of speaking. And the goal is to help them learn English without reopening emotional wounds. Move to the sixth technique. It's about encourage positive relationships. Humans are social beings, and connection is a major factor in healing from trauma. Teachers can support this by encouraging like pair work, group collaboration, peer support activities, dicta-close tasks, group discussions, and also cooperative learning games. A calm, empathetic teacher presence can make students feel safe. Positive relationships can also help students cope during emotional flashbacks and moments of insecurity. A supportive classroom community can be a powerful source of their healing. And then the last strategy is build resilience. The final strategy is helping students develop resilience, which means the ability to recover from challenges and adapt to difficulties. Teachers can support resilience by encouraging determination, helping students recognize their strengths, setting achievable goals, giving meaningful feedback, creating opportunities for success, and also involving them in creative tasks that highlight their talents. When students understand their own abilities, they can develop confidence and a sense of direction. In the long term, this leads to self actualization and the ability to reach their fullest potential. Okay, now we move to the conclusion. So, to conclude, the webinar Trauma Informed English Language Teaching was extremely insightful and important. I learned that teachers do not need to be psychologists in order to support traumatized students. We simply need to be caring, aware, and also intention in our approach. This webinar reminded me that teaching English is not only about grammar and vocabulary. It is also about understanding our students as human beings, supporting their emotional well-being, and helping them grow beyond their traumatic experiences. For me personally, this webinar was eye-opening and gave me many practical strategies that I can apply in my future classroom. I believe that trauma-informed teaching is not just beneficial, but it is necessary in today's world. Okay guys, I think that's all for me for the review of the webinar. Thank you so much for your attention and thank you for watching this video. See you next time and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.